if I'm not my ego, then what am I? And this is a line of spiritual inquiry in itself. Well, to try and get some sort of angle on this, let's bring it down to very practical terms. For example, our attention. We've got this thing called attention. Your attention might be on my words or on my image. It might be on something in the future, like what you might be having for dinner. It might be on looking at another video clip. It could be something in the world. It could be a pain in your foot. It could be a feeling that your attention's on. Your attention might be caught up in some daydreams. It might be caught up in some thoughts. This thing called attention can be anywhere. It's quite a remarkable thing. And it's not something we normally take any responsibility or control of. Sometimes attention naturally gravitates to something constructive, but it might also gravitate to something destructive, something which leaves us feeling not very good afterwards. It doesn't always work in our own best interest. This is the mind. It doesn't work in our own best interest a lot of the time. So let's just be aware of the attention, where our attention is from moment to moment. Is it out there? Is it in here? Is it caught up in some fantasy, some reverie? Is it focused on some agenda that we've got? This is the restless mind, when the attention is being hijacked from one thing to another. It's as if we're in a state of constant hypnotism. We're being hypnotized, our attention's been caught by this, been caught by that, and getting absorbed in it. It's being battered around from one thing to the next, like a little plaything. And where are we in all this? Do we have any say in where our attention's directed to? It's rather like flicking through lots of television channels, you know, not the attention not resting on one for very long, but the attention is looking for somewhere to get lost in. And that seems to be the emotional impetus behind the attention. It's looking for somewhere to get lost in. Now, what this teaching is suggesting is we take control of the attention, we become aware of this, we bring the attention back. And where do we put the attention? Well, if we can't put it onto, well, we've got the choice. We can put it onto something which we know is not in our best interests. And we know it's not in our best interest because it will either leave ourselves feeling bad afterwards, or it might leave somebody else feeling bad afterwards. In fact, if it leaves somebody else feeling bad afterwards, then we'll probably be feeling bad as well. So that's one option. It can be put onto something, some object of craving, which if we seek to indulge it, we're going to be neither satisfied nor happy about it. So we'll call that a destructive option. The other option is a positive option, perhaps doing something creative. Perhaps meditating, perhaps doing some painting or some craft work of some kind, anything. Something which we can absorb ourselves in a fairly harmless way. But there's one other option, and that's for the attention to come back onto itself, to have a look at what this attention actually is. Because this attention is actually separate from the contents of the mind. The contents of the mind which try to hijack the attention. And in fact, this attention is very much connected to our sense of being. So the attention can actually rest in itself. And this is a state of equanimity. a state of dispassion. And this is the way to freedom, to the way to liberation, and the way to happiness. Now, the attention isn't going to necessarily rest in itself all the time. There are things that we have to get on with. We have to be able to direct the attention to various objects and activities and people to get on with things. But we do that consciously. And then when we don't have to do it, we can then allow the attention to rest back in itself, rather than flitting around looking for somewhere to get lost in, or allowing it to be hijacked by a myriad other distractions. So I think this is the crux of egotism. Egotism is when the attention is focused on our basic cravings and about trying to satisfy these cravings, which are usually never ending.